friends, and welcome to another episode of your Bish Therapist podcast. And today is M&M Hour Part 2 with our girl, Mandy Slutzker. Hi, Mandy.
Woo! I'm trying to whoop it up.
The Dos Amigas.
Every time Vicky says woohoo, Stassi goes into her crate. She's
Really?
she doesn't like the pitch of whatever Vicky's woohoo is. She will jump off the bed, go into the crate. She will leave the room if we're in the living room and go to the crate. It's so funny. I need to take a video of it. It's just I never know when the woohoos are coming. And by the time I would record it, she'd be in the crate. So
Mandy, you have to do it on DVR, know when one's coming, and record it, because that is priceless.
Yeah, if you watch it before I watch, if you watch it on a Thursday night and I'm haven't watched it yet, text me and be like, there's a woohoo at 37 minutes in.
I literally will text you a timestamp and be like, let's see how Stassi, that is hilarious.
Also, Stassi does not like Kyle Richards' dogs.
Really?
Yeah, especially Storm.
Oh. Why do you think that is?
I mean, she barks at dogs that she sees on TV, so I don't think that's unusual. But with Storm, it's like a
Ooh. I wonder if Stassi has doggy, how humans can be aware of energies of other people. If Stassi is Storm has bad doggy energy. I don't know.
Yeah, I think she just is wary of dogs that are much larger than her.
Yeah, of course. That's the real explanation.
Yeah.
Being ridiculous. And what if Stassi could be an emotional support dog for Housewives? That.
Yeah.
I'm just getting ridiculous now. And as we are recording this right now, Mandy is wearing.
Oh, yes. Let me move this out of the way.
If you're watching on
Go
video.
make maple syrup, Luke Branson for Congress.
Yes. So in Minnesota, Mandy, I was because I've seen people on the internet, kind of go either way with Luke. But I was asking you, you support him, and you were yeah, and you just explained he's the best.
Well, so there is someone else running who might be better, but I don't think who has he's getting attention, right? They did a whole spread of him in Minneapolis's newspaper, the Star Tribune, but he's running far up north. That's where he grew up, in northern Minnesota. And he got endorsements of some of the major unions for the people that work on the Iron Range and that kind of a thing. And I don't know, I feel he is, I don't think a Democrat is going to win up there, but if he wins the primary, I think he has a better chance, and then could work to hopefully flip northern Minnesota blue at some point.
You know what you told me that I like is that we need people working for people, not working for billionaires, industries, all of that. And he seems to be pretty passionate about that. So, but listen, you love merch, and I appreciate that. I need to buy more merch. I don't have one thing of merch. This is just an interesting question. What do you think my first piece of merch that I should buy? Should it be Loverboy? Should it be?
It depends who, do you have a favorite show?
Right now, my favorite show is Next Gen New York City.
Okay. Then Brooks Marks tracksuit.
Well, I don't want it to fall apart on me, Mandy.
Well, that was the terry cloth fabric. That was not his original tracksuit. I actually saw it looks quite thick. So at BravoCon in 2023, he was selling merch, and I chatted with him before he was on, TV and all of that. And it was very thick. It was, if it's good to wear in the cold, it felt like. It looked well made and nice, enough. And he was really shy.
Oh, I could see that. Brooke seems just for him to be on TV, it seems totally antithetical to his entire personality.
Yeah.
And I think the only reason is because of his mom and them being introduced to it. And, I love Brooks. And so this is a great intro, because what we're going to do, we're going to talk about Next Gen New York City. So this is part 2 of M&M Hour. We'll talk Next Gen New York City. And actually, I cannot believe it, y'all. I'm going to be covering Real Housewives of Orange County, even though some of the women I have a hard time with. There's been some stuff with Jen and her son that I feel is great. right, for us to talk about. And so on Mandy's podcast, we're going to talk about the Valley and in the city. That's right. Yes.
Reunion part two.
Yes. So part 2, this is us. And then part 1, like, please listen to both because it's just going to be one long conversation. And I'm really trying my best today because I'm on the struggle bus. My niece and nephew were here for 2 days and I feel I could perish. Parents, I give you so much credit. I mean, plus I'm middle-aged. I am chronically ill. And so, like doing small things is hard. And kids, like, they don't care about any of that. We had a ball, but I'm struggling today.
Yeah, it is.
Oh my gosh.
Shout out to all the parents out there. I feel like you guys have a level of like endurance that you build over time, but you start with like no endurance, right? Because if you don't have kids and then all of a sudden you have a baby, it's like 24/7 nonstop. It's the most intense in a certain way in that you're like every few hours having to feed them, change their diaper. There's a gazillion things going on and you're completely sleep deprived. But then you forget that era. I feel like once like the kids are a certain age and you're like focused on toddler and then you're focused on like primary school and like, and it's just like there's new challenges each time. But throughout the whole time, it requires a level of energy that you just like have to maintain regardless of what else is going on. And so salute to all the parents.
1,000% to all the parents. Caduce, as Ramona would say, caduce. And it really like emphasizes we made the best decision not having kids because with my health issues, because you said it, it's energy. And I just don't have it. I can't create it. I can't do more of it. There's nothing I can drink to improve it. And so that is my greatest challenge, which kind of bums me out. But at the same time, I'm glad that I can still do it. But endurance, that's a really good way to say it. Like perseverance, endurance, tenacity, and a little bit of amnesia.
Yeah, no, I think it like makes you forget like the first however many months that are just so crazy. You have to forget it, just like childbirth in a way. It's supposed to give you oxytocin that like eventually makes you forget like how hard childbirth is because they like biologically like you may need to do it again. So it's like your body trying to get you to forget how hard birth and the newborn phase is and pregnancy and all of that. So yeah, it's a lot.
I swear to you, I feel like people with chronic illness have that same thing. Like I'll go in for a surgery or do something and they'll be like, oh, it shouldn't be that bad. And then I'm like, oh, I forgot how terrible this would be.
Oh, yes.
So I appreciate that level of like, oh yeah, your mind has to forget so that you can't be paralyzed next time you have to go and do something or whatever. So, oh my gosh. So let's get it poppin'. Let's talk about OC first.
Okay.
Mandy, what have you been thinking or feeling about OC this season?
So it's hard because one of my favorite housewives is on the show and one of my least favorite housewives is on the show. And it's
Do tell.
So Tamra Judge is very difficult for me. I just do not enjoy watching her. I always know that at some point she could go as low can be and have no remorse. And it's just really hard. And I don't like how she makes herself a victim in the situation with her daughter. She does terrible things. And then she's like, forgive me. You have to forgive me because we're in the show where we have to move forward. It's just like you do meaner things than other people. I love Shannon Beador. I know she's probably a monster. We've had that confirmed by like a gazillion people are like, oh yeah, she treats people like shit. I almost don't care because she's on my screen to entertain me and entertain me she does. She has some of my favorite qualities in a housewife. Number one, that they don't know how to run their own social media. That is absolutely paramount. I find it super cringe and annoying that all the others are like trying to make TikToks all the time. I'm like, I get it. You want to make money. You want to like put your kids through college. Like 100% understand that. But I want my housewife to be like a little bit, I don't know, hard to access, doesn't really keep up with like the cool, trendy things and is just genuinely themselves. Now, people say she has a shtick where she like pretends to be the character of Shannon.
I believe that. Yeah.
And I still enjoy watching it. So, that's on me. That's on me.
No, listen, I can appreciate that. What I appreciate about you is you always open my brain up to other perspectives. So I do believe Shannon, her Her shtick, I believe, is like the whole like Lucille Ball, like, whoa,
Yeah.
I'm falling all this stuff.
I love Lucy. You know what I mean? Like, I just.
So do I, but it's like, girl, come on. This is.
So
ridiculous.
that shtick can get a little annoying, but when they show her Ring camera footage of her just fucking eating it and falling on a bunch of Amazon boxes, like, that cameras weren't on her. She wasn't paying attention, you know?
I know, but then I get concerned that I'm like, you might need an aid. You might need help or PT or something because falling this much at your age is like, and listen, I'm sensitive to this because I just care to, my grandparents who passed away, but it's like, girl, if you're truly falling this much, see a neurologist, do some PT because like you're not that old and this is a real problem. It's either shtick or you need physical therapy.
Yeah, I do think she, like, I was wondering, I was like, does she have like vertigo or something where just like her inner ear is off?
Something must be off because when we saw that footage, I was like, oh my God, she's lucky that she didn't actually hurt herself. So listen, I'm sorry. And I interrupted you, but I just, I love to validate that you brought up points about Shannon. And I'm like, yeah. We can't always watch these people to be like the moral compass or the moral high ground. Like that's not why we're watching
none of these people
shows.
should be a moral compass or moral high ground. But that's also not their job, and we need to stop holding them to that kind of a standard. Like, save that energy for the people who represent you in Congress.
Yeah, politicians and the people in our leadership. Right, I hear that.
Yeah, so, and state and county and all that stuff.
Of course. So while we're on the note of Shannon, let's talk a little bit about, in the news, there was like this whole mishigas.
Yes, that is a perfect use of mishigas.
Yeah, there's a whole mishigas about the fact that for the Roaring 20s, the Ultimate Girls Trip, they filmed a scene at the Quiet Woman, which, by the way, this episode of Real Housewives of Orange County, Vicky, of course, like the queen of narcissistic traits and tendencies, was like, they ruined my moment. And I was like, your moment?
Oh my gosh.
She literally said that on OC. And I thought, wasn't this a moment for like all the housewives? I'm very confused. And maybe when we watch it, it will be something that was supposed to be about Vicky. But I was just like, that's a wild thing to say, but very Vicky, right?
Yeah.
So what happened was Andy was there, they were eating, and they brought a bill, and Shannon flipped out because she basically was like, we've put Quiet Woman on the map, we've given you this, we've given you that, and you should have torn the check up. So what ended up happening is that she did like an after show or a podcast. I think it was a podcast where she ended up confirming that this was true, that they brought the bill. And she got very angry with them, and there was a fight and an argument. And when it was posted on social media, my initial thought was the entitlement of her to be like, you all are housewives. You make very decent salaries. You can't treat Andy Cohen and pay for your dinner. Like the entitlement of asking restaurants, which, by the way, have like the smallest margin. They have been struggling since COVID. And I don't know. I just thought it was like so gross and entitled. What did you think about the whole thing?
No, that is gross and entitled. It is also very common behavior. Luann did that to a restaurant here in DC where they just don't comp. Like, it's just not like everyone who comes in there is way more important than Luann de Lesseps, and they pay their bills. And she did leave without paying. It became a whole scandal. And she just assumed it was comped, right? Like, that is. Now, with Quiet Woman, I would have to imagine that they have comped dinners for Shannon in the past. And so maybe she had come to expect that. I think it was being filmed, though, which is also weird because I thought production pays for their food when they're filming.
You know what I thought it was, though? I thought it was one of those things like before or after filming. Like, it wasn't during filming. I could be wrong, but I think, like Andy came and they were just like having a dinner and something like that. I thought, but I could be wrong.
I mean, she's obnoxious and entitled. So yeah, it is obnoxious to do that. But again, I don't look to my housewives for being...
Right. Respect, Mandy. I respect.
I don't know. I feel like the more people try and like hold them to a certain standards, or like they have these bigoted views. I was like, yeah, and they're not making decisions. Like, they're not making decisions for all of us. So like, Yes, it would be great if they could be enlightened. Yes, the fan base of Bravo has a very large LGBTQ community. I think that is what is like teaching these women, honestly, that like the gay community they have to lean on for their own careers, that they learn to appreciate the gay community and learn more about it. I do feel like we've seen that with a few of the housewives where we're like, oh, wow, maybe they otherwise would feel a certain way, but look at how happy they are in their spotlight. And like Angie K seems like someone who maybe otherwise wouldn't pay much attention to that issue. But, you know, Bronwyn confirmed that every single person on the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City is supportive of the entire LGBTQ.
And that's one of the reasons I love Salt Lake City. And oh my gosh, there's been so much Salt Lake City news too, which, you know, I know we're not talking about that, but like now so many of these ladies are single and ready to mingle. They are allies in non-performative ways and they're single and ready to mingle. I am in. I am sat. I cannot wait for Salt Lake City.
I want Whitney to get a girlfriend.
I would totally be here for that.
I think she's said that she's bi. Like, I think she's said that before. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it would be more fun to watch that because I feel like in her relationships and her relationship with Justin, she's not getting like emotionally what she needs from him. Mm-hmm. And I just feel like a woman would be better in tune with what her like emotional needs are.
Yeah. I mean, a woman's definitely going to be more in tune than probably a straight.
There's a reason that lesbians are so happy in their relationships.
Oh my God.
Like every lesbian I know is in a fantastic marriage. Like,
I mean, it's just like, yeah, women can attend to each other in ways that are just so deep and so beautiful and, you know, all that great stuff. So yeah, I cannot wait to see what happens. And I just hope they are all having the best sex of their lives and are happier than ever. I really do. But back to OC, where people are miserable and we don't necessarily love everything that they're about, but, you know, hey, they're entertaining us.
Something I wanted to get your thoughts on before we get into some of the craziness. So when Vicky and Michael meet up, her son, and I love Michael. I've always loved Michael. He is so different from other people in his family. But when he let it come out on camera, which it was very clear Vicky was not thinking this would be a point of conversation, that he has not seen his sister Brianna in 8 years. Mm-hmm. My jaw was on the floor. On the floor. Same. I did the math. That means that he has not met a niece and a nephew and possibly another nephew.
And he did say that. He said that with Vicky. He said, I have not met 2 of her children.
Oh, I totally missed that part.
Yep.
He said that. So there was an article in Us Weekly where he like expanded more. I don't know where he did this, but he was like asked more questions. And it sounds like him and Brianna FaceTime, but that he has offered to visit and she has said it's not a good time. And it sounds like him and Brianna's husband, Ryan, who's always given like doomsday prepper, super controlling vibes, that they don't get along. And also like Brianna and Ryan like have their own Instagram handle that's together, which tells me a lot about like the level of control he has over her. And it's funny that she was so anti-Brooks when Vicky was in that relationship because she thought he was a bad guy. And she ended up in a relationship with someone who's just as shitty, but, you know, whatever.
Right. Okay. So number one, that I'm glad we're talking about this because I had to rewind it because I was like, wait, did I hear that right? Here's what confused me because Vicky tried to almost rewrite what he said.
Yep.
And she was like, oh, well, you guys, I forget exactly what she said, but she's like, you guys are very close and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, Vicky, we heard what he just said.
They're not that close.
Sweep this under the rug. You can't be that close to someone if you haven't seen them in 8 years. But I had the same thought. So Vicky's daughter, Brianna, has been married to Ryan for a while. They have 4 children. And whenever Ryan would film, I would get very just signals inside my body. I feel that he is one of those guys, like you said, he seems very into power and control. He was always telling Brianna like what to do with her situations. And first of all, the social media with two people is for me always a red flag. It's either indicative of like older folks who just like don't want to do two and they just want to connect with friends or grandchildren or whatever, or it's like people who aren't allowed to have their own stuff. So I find it so sad that this is the situation, but it's not at all surprising to me because Vicky has modeled really unhealthy relationships in a lot of ways, because one of the other things that we saw on this episode is Vicky is supposedly happy with this guy, Michael, but she is grieving the fact
Can we
that
talk about how weird it is that her boyfriend and her son have the same name?
well, Michael's a pretty common
I
name.
know, but it's still a little weird. I don't know.
Well, that might be Freudian too, because when Vicky was talking to Michael
about are we going to have a baby?
Are we going to have a baby? Are we going to freeze our sperm? I was like, if codependency had a subtitle, it would be this right here. Are we freezing like, Vicky, mind your business. Focus on yourself. That is a wacky thing to say to your son. And it's like, perhaps this is why he's not met someone or settled down, is because you're a smother mother and they would be scared. I mean, could you imagine Vicky as a mother-in-law?
He did have a longtime girlfriend who like would randomly be on her social media sometimes, like whenever they were all getting together, but they broke up and then I think he moved to Spain.
Right. And he travels a lot and stuff. But my point is that Vicky has modeled these relationships. And I think that Brianna was so ready to try to get out and live a different life. And unfortunately, kids learn by not what we say, by what we do. And those messages, even if we think we're like, okay, I don't want to be with someone like my mom was with, sometimes trauma, when it's unresolved, if we're still moving from a place of trauma or we're picking a partner, when we haven't worked on some of those things, we can accidentally engage in those same like relational patterns. And so I would be willing to bet with Brianna, she was so focused on her mom's stuff with Brooks that she may have not been as focused where she needed to on her stuff with Ryan, you know? So that's kind of my thought on that. But that scene definitely blew my mind. And also it's just like so controlling if like this is your wife's sibling. These are your children's uncle, only sibling, only uncle. And if continually for 8 years, it's never a good time, well, I'm going to feel confident in saying that Ryan is the issue there. And that's really suspect.
It's definitely Ryan. Ryan and Brianna are very maha, and they've done some pretty amazing things. Like I think she has lupus, is it? Or she has some autoimmune condition, and she has improved her health greatly by going keto, and that like works for her and their family, and that's lovely and wonderful, and they post all these recipes. Great. But like I think it takes it farther, right? And Michael feels very anti-maha. He's made a lot of like videos and comments and stuff during COVID. So I think Ryan just can't handle someone having a different view and also wants to control everything about his family, his wife, his children, and like doesn't want them exposed to anything. I wonder if they read as homeschool like parents.
Yes.
So
yes.
It's
like wilderness.
My child cannot be exposed to things that I disagree with or that they may disagree with, right? So it's very hyper controlled.
It's like a cult.
It's creepy.
That's a cult then. And here's the thing I want to say as a chronic illness person. I think it's great that Brianna believes that she can control her health. But I'm going to tell you, it's such healthy privilege to say, well, now food does matter when it comes to health, right? Like for sure, food is important in nutrition to a certain extent. But like I can't eat any differently to make my issues better or go away. And Brianna, she sells like Young Living essential oils and things like that. And so I think it's like, just to mention for a moment, the privilege of Maha, which is like, I don't have the privilege of not taking medication. I don't have the privilege of being able to eat keto and making myself 100% better. Many people don't have that ability. Now, if she did, that's great. But I guess that's just like a really pet peeve of mine that I just wanted to put out there because I do think there is that level of privilege that it's like, listen, essential oils, like all the things are great. but, we still have to believe in science and
Well, and there's a way to like combine homeopathic medicine with Western medicine, right? Like a lot of
Totally.
people with arthritis find that if they cut out a lot of like refined carbohydrates, their hands hurt less. And so,
Totally.
but that doesn't mean you don't take any anti-arthritic medication at the same time. Like there, you know what I mean? You can combine, you can take from everything. You can do acupuncture, which actually does have peer-reviewed research, and combine it with other things. Like there's so many ways of being healthy. I think when you become where it's like, this is the only way, that's a little bit like, oh,
that's insane because what's right for one person isn't necessarily right for another.
Exactly.
But I do acupuncture, which helps me immensely. I do eat a plant-based diet, but you better bet I also eat ice cream and all of the things because I'm not going to be on my deathbed being like, oh, thank God I didn't have the cake. So, but sorry, we got a little bit off track here. Anyway, let me refocus. So with that situation, was there anything else that you thought was interesting? Like with the Vicky, Brianna?
No, just that it was wild that Vicky thought that she could just like pick up and head to Puerto Vallarta immediately after a cartel takeover.
Okay, can we explain what happened? Because
so the U.S. government, and I'm going to butcher this because I've not read anything on it recently.
Well, hold on. Let me pull it up because I did have it up. Because
I believe a member of one of the cartels that
El Mencho.
The
leader of...
was it Sinaloa or...
No, CJNG. Jalisco New Generation Cartel.
Cartel, okay.
JALISCO, yes.
Yep.
So he was killed, and then basically... cartel members and affiliated groups set up roadblocks, hijacked and burning vehicles, attacked businesses, gas stations, security, and stormed a prison in Puerto Vallarta, from which 23 inmates escaped. And I mean, lots of people died.
My cousin was there when that happened with her family, and she has three kids, and her husband, when the kids were sleeping, were like going through the kids' backpacks to find snacks because they had run out of food. Like they were staying at kind of an Airbnb and were told not to leave by the State Department. And so it's like, okay, well, what food do we have for the next couple of days? What water do we have? Like, how do we keep ourselves? She said she's never going back to Mexico. And they, or maybe not all Mexico, but her and I would go to Puerto Vallarta with our families. Her mom absolutely loved it. It's a beautiful town. We would take like the bus in Puerto Vallarta in like 1997. Looking back, like, oh dear. But yeah, I think it was very, very, very scary. But I do know Vicky has such a love for Mexico, for the city of Puerto Vallarta, for that whole region. She just absolutely loves it. And she knows so many business owners there and, brings a lot of attention to business owners. She tried to get a stake in Andales and they told her, we don't need you.
Well, right. But also because it's like Vicky's personal beliefs. It's like, so you love Mexico. And you love Donald Trump. Please make that make sense. That doesn't make any goddamn sense to me.
Yeah, people have their own ways of making things make sense to themselves. But I think she was kind of like, well, as soon as this gets cleared up, I'm going to go down there. And it's like, okay, but this is so scary. And you need to, let's let like officials from the State Department like assess what's happened and like safety risks and that kind of thing. Because it was bad. It was bad.
It was a really big deal. And yeah, I think that shows her sometimes lack of awareness about things, that it's like, oh, you think you're going to go back and there's like a cartel war. This is Vicky. Come on.
Like she thought she could go back to work while she was actively fighting sepsis. Like that kind of but it's that kind of attitude that yes, can get you in trouble, but can also be so stubborn that you survive things. Like you just, and I recognize that attitude in my dad a lot. It's like, where I see him just, what do you mean I can't just go back to work? I'm working, and it's a stubbornness and I'm going to just make this work. And that is something I do appreciate in Vicky. And I did like in the other episode where she was showing some like maternal and sort of mentorship towards Gina about finances. I really enjoyed that. I think the key to Vicky's heart is asking her opinion on your own personal finances and insurance.
Literally, Mandy, because she's like, Vicky's like, I'm really having an affinity for Gina. It's like, yeah, because she asked you to help her with something that you find interesting. That's why but I do appreciate that relationship because I think people are really unfairly harsh on Gina. I'm a huge Gina fan. I think she's really wonderful. I don't understand the hate for Gina, I'm going to be honest. So I do kind of appreciate that. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about, and it wasn't this last episode, I think it was the one before, I can't even remember, but Jen, her kids, were having some acting out issues, specifically her son, Grayson. He received a speeding ticket going 105, which is terrifying because especially where they live, that's a recipe for someone dying. And so what she noticed was Grayson, after this ticket, she got very upset with him, which, right, this is all a very important part of this learning process, right? She got upset with him mostly out of fear, and she noticed that he started to isolate. So she decides to film this scene with him where she checks in and was like, well, I've noticed you're different. How are things? And he just completely opened up, which I give him a lot of credit too, because opening up like that on camera cannot be easy. Like, this is her job. This isn't his. He said things have been hard. It feels like a lot. And he said the ticket pushed him over the edge. And then when Jen started talking to him, you know, he was really vulnerable. He said, my parents aren't together anymore and he doesn't see his dad. And I just felt so sad for him. And then Jen asked, are people being unkind to you? And they kind of both started to cry together. And so a couple of really interesting things I feel like about that scene, and of course I want to get your thoughts on this, is that when we notice something with people we love, it's so important to say, I'm noticing this, what's going on? Because kids, especially of that age, sometimes they don't have the language, or they don't, even though he's 17, like he's not an adult, they don't know how to say, I'm really struggling, right? When kids are struggling, they will act out. So the speeding ticket was an act out, right? And it wasn't conscious. Like, he's not saying I need attention, but when we are struggling as teenagers and our brains don't totally know what to do with it, it will show in our behaviors, right? So the speeding ticket was more about his grief and I think all the things that are going on. But Jen said one of the most interesting things that I really wanted to challenge, which is like, so her ex-husband, Will, is not in their lives. Which, to be clear, I hope he has lettuce diarrhea forever. I really hope Will has lettuce diarrhea forever. I just feel like to be so angry at your ex that you completely dip out of your children's lives is just absolutely disgusting. But Jen was saying she feels the need to compensate. And so I believe this is where Jen went a little bit off track, because when you're too busy trying to compensate, which, by the way, it's impossible. You cannot compensate for someone else not being in their lives, especially a parent. There's no compensating for that. So I feel like she's been so busy trying to do that she hasn't spent enough time saying, let's talk. How are you emotionally? And she also made the point about, well, she's surprised that this much later he's having an issue with it. And I also wanted to speak to that, is that all kids have different experiences and processing times. Some things, especially with trauma, will hit you later. Like, you might be through something and then a year later, all of a sudden, you're having all this stuff come up. So what did you think about all of that?
I think Jen is incredibly immature and not in tune with what's going on with her children. And that's just from what I've seen on TV. Like, she could be absolutely fantastic. We saw she was very, very good with the young child that was adopted. However, I remember, if it was last season or the season before, when one of the other sons went away to the Marines, he's like, oh my God, what are we going to do with Grayson? He's so close to you. It's going to be so hard for him. So she knew that it was going to be hard for him. She also, this episode, asked him about his job at In-N-Out Burger and was like, do you do the orders? Like, she just seems like she doesn't know what he's doing. I'm not sure if this was the child that set a fire Or is that's a different kid?
Well, so she didn't say, but I did some research on this knowing we talk about it. And what the word on the Reddit streets, which I know we can't always trust that, it seemed like it was the result of minors setting toilet paper rolls on fire, and her only minor is the youngest child who's adopted, Dominic.
Okay.
So we believe that it wasn't Grayson. It allegedly was the 12-year-old Dominic.
Interesting. I don't know.
But I think I hear what you're saying is that, like, to your point, Ryan is asking Jen, he's saying, like, I'm really having a problem with this man not being in their lives. And she's like arguing with him about it. And it's like, why is everyone having to tell you about this?
Yes.
Is your point. Yes.
She's very like, I'm going to make the choices that I want and it's going to work out. And she was like, maybe I shouldn't have cheated on their dad and left him. Like, yeah, you should have thought of that, and the way that you went about it. And yeah,
Right.
Kids at school are going to talk about your mom, stepped out on your dad. And the thing that was most offensive to me was that she started crying, which I know is hard to control, but she then made it where he had to comfort her. And that is just inappropriate. You go to Ryan for that. You go to therapy for that. You do not have a child comfort you. That is not their role. He is not old enough at that point to have sort of more of a peer-to-peer relationship. You are the parent. He is the child. He is admitted. He is having a hard time. It is your job to listen and to work with him to find solutions, not to make it about yourself and your own choices.
I'm glad you brought that up because of all the parts of that scene that hit me in a weird way, because what did you see Grayson do immediately after? He went over to comfort her and he said, I'm sorry.
Yep.
Because kids that age, when you have that reaction, they think that they've done something wrong by sharing their deepest feelings. And to your point, I understand it's hard. Like, I've had, very tough conversations with my nieces and nephew due to family dysfunction and a lot of things that I haven't shared. And if you're sad, you got to do your best to, it's okay to cry in front of kids, but to cover your face and to totally break down. Yeah, I agree. You got to save that, because then he thought he kind of did something wrong.
And even if she did cry and cover her face, she could have said, this is not your fault. I'm just reacting because I'm sad that you're sad. We're going to work together. Like,
right.
Don't worry about it. We will. I've got you. We're going to find a solution. We're going to make you feel better. We're going to work towards a better situation. I can't control your dad, but I can control me and this environment that you are living in, and we will improve.
Right.
So
right.
just to say, even like I understand sometimes emotions just come up and you can't control the crying. At the same time, don't ever get in a situation where a child is comforting you and then you're allowing that. That is just so inappropriate and so making it all about her and not about the kid. And I think there's a level of selfishness with her. There is.
Well, to that point, Mandy, when the fire happened, her and Ryan,
they were in Cabo.
Were in Cabo. And when she posted that thing about, yes, this was our son, and yes, we've talked to him and we're taking this seriously. How seriously are you taking this when you can't even come home from Mexico, right? And I was talking to someone else about this, I forgot who, and they were like, well, maybe it was a free trip or whatever. And I'm like, it doesn't matter. If your children are acting out, so your older son's getting speeding tickets, your younger son is playing with fire, allegedly, which, listen, kids sometimes will do that, but these are serious things that require a lot of adult presence and attention. You can't parent from Cabo in these very serious incidences. So I absolutely see your point. And Jen seems really sweet and kind and loving, but I agree she's too detached from the situation with her kids, because I think she feels guilty about the Will stuff. But it's like, you're an adult and that's yours to process.
Yeah, that's your issue. That's not their issue. Don't make them have to deal with that.
But another interesting thing that I thought was when Emily talked about how her daughter Annabelle felt abandoned because her son Luke had some disordered eating, and I believe they thought he was on the autism spectrum. I'm not sure if that has been diagnosed. I just don't want to speak if I don't know. And so that is so common in families with children who have, medical needs, developmental needs, they need a little bit more than the other children. It does create this vacuum in a family where other kids can feel abandoned. But this is like a good contrast with Jen, where Annabelle told her, and she was like, I'm committing myself to make sure you never feel like this again. I am sorry. I own it. Like, I feel like it's like a tale of two parenting cities, kind of. And Emily, to me, totally did it. I mean, no one can be perfect, but she did it totally right. And you can tell because she said, when I come in, Annabelle's face lights up and all of this. And so the only thing that matters to kids is like all people are going to fuck up, whether you're a parent, a caregiver, whatever. It's how you own it, apologize, and change your behavior moving forward that will make all the difference with them.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty amazing. Mandy, any last thoughts about OC before we move on?
I feel like OC is a little bit cyclical, where like every few years it's a gang up on Heather. And I think they just don't understand her way of communicating. I don't think she's that two-faced. I think she genuinely tries with everyone. I do think she's very sensitive and she gets hurt easily, so that can cause problems. But they're trying to make her out to be someone that she's not. It happens every single time. The year that her house sold and she didn't want to tell anyone because they get jealous of her. They are jealous of her. She has more money than them. She has fewer problems than them. And she does. She
her life is great.
Her life is great and she's allowed it to be great. Like, she doesn't take any of the things that can be complicated, like having a transgender child. She doesn't make that like a problem, right? She takes everything and just makes it better. And she's got a good marriage and she's got great relationships with her kids, and her kids are doing well. And she's, for the most part, kept them off TV, And I think they're jealous of her, and I don't like when they go after her in what feels like a very targeted way, especially I feel like it's a Tamra and Jen sort of takedown of Heather season. Where Jen is like, ooh, Tamra likes me now, so I'm gonna
be her soldier.
Yes.
Which she does not realize that's the only reason Tamra likes you. Because you are willing and able to be manipulated by her. Because Tamra she's only gonna F with you if you are able to be manipulated by her. Like, I'm going to be honest, like, Tamra realized she was not able to manipulate me in any way, shape, or form. And we're not friends at all, but she has literally never talked to me again because I don't serve her. I don't serve her purpose. So she only puts people in her life who can serve her purpose, and that includes content creators. But like, to your point, when Tamra did like the whole box thing as like a passive... passive-aggressive or aggressive-aggressive. I mean, that was pretty aggressive-aggressive as a jab towards Heather. And it's like Heather just like takes this from Tamra. And it's like, no wonder Heather wants to be on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Like, this is so wild to me. And I'm shocked that the whole box situation didn't go any worse than it did. But hey, I don't know. Miracles happen every day. All right. So let's move on to Next Gen New York City. I am loving Next Gen, Mandy. What are you feeling about it?
I love it. I find it so interesting. I think they're all still finding themselves. I think the only true breakout star is Ariana Bierman. She's the only true, real breakout star. Everyone else is figuring it out.
I'd agree with that.
They could cut for next season and just focus on a core group. I think they're trying to figure out who the core group is. I mean, I do appreciate the role of Amira on the show. She's much more like not starting out. She's pretty far along in her career despite being so young. Everyone else is really just trying it out. It's interesting to see how many of them allowed themselves to get in situations where they were reliant on a man for money at such a young age. It's shocking. Georgia did that with Omar. I mean, you're 24 years old and you're letting your boyfriend pay for absolutely everything. That is a recipe for disaster. And that is like, who taught you that? And then Ava.
And she hold on. She said that she was with Omar too because he had AC and it was a hot summer. I was like, girl, Girl,
I mean, that is
you
such
sell your soul for AC,
yeah.
then you're going to get what you pay for. I mean, that is wacky. Go to Starbucks. Go
she's
somewhere
wacky.
else.
I find her to be somewhat of a breakout star. Like, she's my favorite on the show to watch because she's so kooky and I never know what's going to come out of her mouth. She makes me laugh the hardest. But there's that. And then Ava Dash, like, letting her boyfriend pay for a penthouse. And that's where she lives. So it's like your dad and your mom bankrolled your life. And then now you've got this boyfriend who bankrolled your life. And then you found out that he was unfaithful and you have to break up with him and you want to move out, but there's no place to move to. And you have to figure out how to do this on your own. Like, that is just, I don't know, maybe it's because, like, I was told right after college, like, you need to get a job and you have to make enough money to, like, pay for your life. You have to pay your rent, like, all of that stuff.
Well, yeah, Mandy, you know what I was told? My mom, literally, I'm not kidding, told me from as young as I can remember, never leave home for less than 2 carats and to always depend on a man. And guess what? Your girl did the opposite because I had enough awareness to be like, that sounds like really bad advice.
It's so crazy. Like, my dad, his like whole thing was like, you should always have a job. You should never. And I'm like, Mom kind of relied on you a lot. But he's like, she had a job. Yeah. Right. She was a social worker. She didn't make any money. But
well, and that's my thing too. I have never made as much money as my husband because I chose to work as a therapist. But the point is, if you give your agency, whether it's psychological, financial, whatever it is, over to somebody else, it is just a recipe for disaster. Every single time. How many times have we seen this on these reality TV shows? It's just never going to end well. And that's the thing that I appreciate about Amira. Amira is like a hustler. She is like, I'm going to take care of me. I'm going to work. Like,
I'm going to take care of my parents. I'm going to take care of my younger siblings. Yeah. And it's annoying in a way to watch these people be like, I mean, I do appreciate Brooke Shields' daughter, Rowan. And
I love Rowan.
And her dad is, I forgot his name, but he's like very, very famous in his own right, saying like, you've got a year to figure it out. That is very generous of them. It's funny that she's like, has the ability to take that time to figure out what she wants to do. I think most people just have to get a job to pay the bills. It doesn't matter what they want or don't want. And so it's interesting to watch people with so much privilege to be able to like figure out what their passions are and still fail, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I like with Brooke, like, it's like, okay, so you're doing this fashion thing. Like, you got to do stuff to actually make money. Like, you should have a really well-functioning website that sells Booksmart's tracksuits. You should like get other people on Bravo to wear those tracksuits as like part of your branding, you know, like send gift boxes. Like, there's so many things you could be doing to pump up your brand and then do one other thing well. Like, you've got the tracksuits down, find one other thing before like expanding to a whole line of clothing with fabric that doesn't exist and that falls apart. Like, it's a little bit annoying to watch.
It's so funny, though, to your point about like, he reminds me of Shannon, where some of these people who have these platforms, some of them are so great at using it for everything that it gives you. And some of them are definitely leaving money on the table because I get the sense that Brooks feels very overwhelmed a lot. Like, to me, he has a sense of overwhelm in all areas of his life a lot of the times. And, you know, listen, he's still very young. And I think it's like this age that we're watching developmentally, for me, psychologically speaking, it's so fascinating because it's like young adults, their prefrontal cortex isn't fully developed. And it's
his should be. He's 25.
Well, sometimes now research says that in people who are neurodivergent, it's actually closer to 32.
Oh,
but
he might be neurodivergent.
He may be, he may not be, right? And so maybe at 25 it is.
I mean, a lot of creatives are. So like a lot of people that go into fashion and then anyone that works in an ER. literally of any type, any variety, in an emergency room, whether you're respiratory
you have to have that ability to,
it's like well known.
Oh, totally.
In the medical fields, but
you
it's
have
like
to have like ADHD and, you know,
ADHD
even
specifically.
even do
ADHD.
that.
Yeah. So it's like, It's so funny.
So
It's
that's
like all
just
the
a
nurses,
fun
all the doctors, all the respiratory therapists, all the like techs, all the people that like work in the pharmacy there, all the people that work in the labs there. Like it's just so nuts.
But yes, to your point about Brooks, I completely understand that. But I do think it's so interesting to see like their identity development over, like, who am I? What do I want to do? And all of that other stuff. But it was so disappointing. I feel like now Ariana and Hudson are back together. It seemed like this season Ariana was trying to take her power back, trying to like be on her own. And now I just feel like Hudson's behavior towards her has been so creepy. I'm going to be honest.
Oh, I strongly dislike him.
I mean,
more than Charlie.
His behavior. Wait. What? More than Charlie?
Charlie lets you know who he is. Hudson pretends to be a nice guy. Hudson is obsessed with having ownership over Ariana. My ex-girlfriend, you can't talk to my ex-girlfriend. You can't do this, you can't do that. He like won't accept the boundaries that she has placed. I mean,
1,000%.
In a way that is just so like he thinks he can get whatever the fuck he wants because of how much money he has. And she was clear about what she wanted from him. He did not provide it. He understood why she was leaving. And yet he still exercised this like level of control where he's trying to control what men are around her. Charlie lets you know who the fuck he is. He just does. He's like, I'm selfish. I'm spoiled. I have a bad relationship with my family. I don't know what I want. I speak out of pocket. I say things that are extremely offensive. And that's me, And so nothing he does is shocking to me because he's so upfront about who he is. And Hudson, I was like, whoa, I didn't see this.
Yeah. You know what was the hugest red flag for me is when he was talking to Liam about setting boundaries.
That's not a boundary.
This is where young people have weaponized therapy speak. Because just because you say something is a boundary doesn't make it a boundary. He was exercising controlling, obsessive behavior with Ariana, which is a huge red flag. He was trying to intimidate Liam and use Charlie and Shy to create problems there. And after they broke up, this was the other cringy thing to me, is that all of a sudden he's posting pictures of his diamonds and his Ferraris and his private jets. And
they're all his parents, by the way.
Of course, because he doesn't know.
He doesn't own any of that. He didn't do any of that.
He's a Nepo baby, right? He's like he is the beneficiary of this, which I don't hate on. That's fine. But he's using this privilege to flex because as like Liam has been famous for a while, he just doesn't care about flexing all of that nonsense. Like, I'm sure he's not as rich, but Hudson's not rich either. To your point, his parents are. So I just think, to me, all those behaviors are red flags, and I want to know why she got back with him. I feel like Ariana is really susceptible to people. So like because of Kim and Croy, I believe that she's susceptible to staying with Hudson because they have history. I think Kim and Croy messed those kids up so badly, created so much trauma, that Ariana is confusing love with just knowing someone for a long time. And that's a real concern for me.
I do think she has love for him. I think she wanted him to have different qualities. Like there were things that she saw him just like settling in and not doing anything. And it's no fun to be around someone who doesn't do anything all day.
Yeah, if you're just flexing about your private jet and your diamonds, great. What are you doing? What are you doing to better your life, to grow as a human?
Yeah.
Right. And I think Ariana is a very ambitious, smart, talented young lady, but I can tell Ariana has been parentified, which means parentification is when adults force children to be the adult. Like, I think Kim parentified her kids so badly that Ariana feels responsibility for Kim. She pays for Kim. She does things for Kim. And I see that in her relationship with Hudson, where to me, she parents Hudson more than she partners him.
That's true.
And that is going to be really tiring for her from here on out. So I hope that, listen, I think Ariana is one of the greatest humans on the planet, literally. Like, she is just such a beautiful soul, and I just want the best for her. And I I think Hudson takes advantage of that. He knows how to hit those soft points of how to make her feel bad and all that stuff. So it does worry me. I'm going to be honest. It does worry me. But, she has to make her best decisions. So what else from Next Gen did you want to talk about?
It was interesting watching Amira and Kevin together talk about what Charlie had said.
Yes.
And I love how Kevin is just so stable and secure in his relationship and with his own gender identity, sexuality, whatever it is, that he doesn't care, like, any comment that someone makes about it. He's like, whatever, I get to be with Amira. Like, look at my hot bitch. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
is totally unfazed. And I really think Amira is very lucky to have a person like that in her life. I think it's a very solid relationship. And I understand where she was coming from with trying to forgive Charlie.
Really?
I do.
She lost me. But it's her. So I follow her lead and I get it.
Yeah.
But for me, I am so upset about this that it's like, I'm confused. I'm legitimately confused at how she could give Charlie so much grace.
I think, I don't know, there's something in that 7-8 year friendship that meant a lot to her. That's for sure. And he's pretty open about the fact that he says a lot of bullshit that he doesn't mean. He goes back and he's like, I probably did that. Yeah, I probably did that. And he was basically like, I'm going to be more careful about how I talk, which I think is what she was looking for. But I'm assuming that conversation was so much longer and more in depth than what was shown on TV. And then they just show the part where they make up as opposed to like the hard conversation, which I'm assuming was had, which is like, this is why. You don't think so?
No, I don't. I don't think so. And here's why. I wrote down exactly what Charlie said because I hear what you're saying and I appreciate your perspective. I just feel okay, here's what he said verbatim because he talks in such riddles. I have to write it.
Yeah, he does talk in riddles.
So he said, God's honest truth, because she was like, forget what Georgia did, right? And I understand why she's upset with Georgia. I do. But she's like, did you say this? And this is what he said. God's honest truth. I don't remember saying that to Georgia. I'm self-aware enough to admit that perhaps it sounds like something that maybe I would have said. Now, who knows the context in which it was said? Were it to have been said, it wasn't said in a malicious, negative way. So here's my beef with this. How the fuck is this accountability? Number one. And number two, what context? Please tell me any context that would have made this appropriate. Those are my beefs with him, right?
It's not an appropriate thing to say no matter what. But
it's like he's not like owning it. To me, like he gives a Tamra apology, right?
Yeah.
A real apology requires three things. It requires accountability, ownership, and behavior change moving forward. Requires it to repair any relationship. He just did this, maybe I said it, I don't know, like accountability without accountability. So that's my major beef.
Yeah. I think a lot of times people don't remember things they say. So I think that honesty is but he's like, I probably did kind of a thing is what I took.
He knows he said it. He said on the episode, yes. You know how I know he knows he said it? The episode before this, he was complaining to Shai or someone. And he goes, oh, well, Georgia just did this. And Shai goes, well, when'd you say it? And he goes, oh, well, when Georgia was homeless staying at my house.
Got it. So they would like have all these conversations and that was, yeah.
Yeah.
I also think that Amira has grown up in such a transphobic society that these comments are not like as offensive to her because she's heard so much worse. If that makes any sense.
It does.
And I think it makes her more likely to accept an apology from someone who's like, I don't have bad intent with you. You know what I mean? As opposed to all the people who do have like really, really negative intent. I also
such
think
a solid point.
I just think she lives in this society where people make comments all the time. And this was hurtful because it was from a friend. That's why it was hurtful. Not that anyone said it because she's, I'm sure, heard this kind of bullshit before. It was more of a dig at Kevin, and he didn't care that much because he's like, whatever, Charlie's an idiot, you know? But I think she's so used to. And also, a lot of people who watch the show didn't understand. They knew it was offensive. They didn't know why it was offensive.
Right. So let us talk about that for a minute, because I have talked about this on my podcast probably every single episode because I've been raging about this. But I do want to say your point before about the transphobia is really solid. And it actually just makes me more sad because, and this is why trans rights are human rights. And this is why it matters, because imagine being born in a body that you feel is wrong, and you have the courage to become your true self, and then people want to hurt you, and they want to kill you, and they want to do all these things to take you,
deny you medical care,
for just living your right,
deny you therapy, deny
therapy,
you your
medical care,
name,
basic human rights. You're right, all of these things. And so that's why I'm so passionate about this as an ally. Nobody should have to deal with that, especially from someone who claims to be your best friend. That's what pisses me off.
Yeah, no,
So
that's just where I think she's coming from. Where like,
oh, totally, yeah, totally.
She's so used to
I'm
it.
just like so passionate about this, and I'm just okay. So the reason why it's offensive is because Amira is a trans woman. Okay, so when it comes to dating transgender people, it connects with sexual orientation in diverse ways and encompasses many different, like straight, bisexual, pansexual, right? Pansexual is kind of where you, like on Schitt's Creek, they made this comparison, which is like such a good example of like, you don't care about like the bottle so much as you care about what's in it, you know? Like when you're drinking wine or whatever, you don't care about the bottle, you care about what's in it. And so the main reason why this is so offensive with Amira is because attraction should follow the partner's actual gender identity. So Amira's gender identity is female. So as a man dating a female, Kevin, he may be in the alphabet somewhere. We don't know his orientation, but because he's a man dating a woman whose gender identity is a woman, that is a straight man. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And he may he may say, oh, well, I'm, pansexual, bisexual, whatever, but he may not either. And so I hope I've explained well enough that it's more about the person's gender identity and how they identify. And no one can say because Kevin is dating a trans person, like that is where this insult lies. And it's like, shitting on trans people about like, well, trans people can never be good enough for society. Like you can never be a good enough woman or a good enough man or whatever it is.
A real woman. That's like the whole thing.
Right. And there's this whole thing about like trans excluding radical feminism, like TERF, which is like feminists even having a hard time with this. And it's like, listen, I will scream from the rooftops that trans rights are human rights. When we support trans youth and LGBTQIA plus youth, the suicide rate goes down by 40%. And to your point, Amira has probably had to deal with all of this hateful rhetoric her entire life. And when you have a best friend, friends are going to fuck up, right? They're going to make mistakes. They're going to hurt our feelings. They're going to do these things. To me, this was a attack on something that is her identity, that she has worked so hard that it's not just like a friend fucking up. To me, this would be a mortal wound, but perhaps to Amira, it is not. And I have to accept, okay, this is my therapy session. I have to accept that. I have to accept that.
Just like we have to accept that Amanda and Kyle like aren't going to hate each other, right? Like Kyle's not going to hate Amanda the way that the rest of us hate Amanda. And everyone gets mad at him. And it's like, it's his life. He was the one that was wronged in this situation. How dare you tell him how he should react?
Yeah, that's a great point. I think Amanda does it to garner favor with fans. I think she's being manipulative, but
him and
that's just how Kyle rolls.
Yep.
Yeah. So, thank you for Mandy. I know we've gone over a little bit, and I'm sorry I went on a little bit of a tangent, but my gosh, just basic human rights really matter to me a lot. And sometimes I do get a little bit crazed about it. But, that's just, I don't know. I love Amira. I love folks who have the courage to live their life the way that it feels best to them and in alignment with themselves. And I don't know, they're superheroes to me. So I just feel protective. And anyone listening to this, any trans folks, any people LGBTQIA+, just know you are loved, you are supported. This community welcomes you. And I'm just glad that I guess Charlie presents this stuff so then we can talk about it and have conversations.
Yeah.
I think that's a really positive part about this too. So, Mandy, thank you for joining me today.
You're welcome.
Please tell everyone where they can find part 1 of M&M Hour.
Yeah, you can find it anywhere you listen to podcasts. My podcast is called Is This Real Life with Mandy Slutsker. And you can find me on Instagram and on Threads now at Mandy Slutsker.
All right, go check her out. And of course, check out your Bish Therapist on Instagram, although I've been taking some time because the internet has been a very harsh place for me lately, but you can find me over there. And of course on Patreon, patreon.com/yourbishtherapist. So for today, we'll send love to you and yours and say ta-ta for now. Disclaimer. Posts are not intended to diagnose, treat, or provide medical advice. Your Bish Therapist is for entertainment and informational purposes only. The podcast, my opinions, and posts are my own and not associated with past or present employers, any organizations, Bravo TV, Greyheart Productions, or any other television network. The information in YBT podcast and on its social media is provided for general informational purposes only and is not intended to diagnose or treat. Please do not act or refrain from acting based on anything you read, see, or hear on YBT podcast or associated social media. Communicating with YBT via email and or social media does not form a therapeutic alliance. Melissa, operator of YBT, is unable to provide any therapeutic advice, treatment, or feedback.